All right, how's it going, everyone? How's it going? Ah! Oh man, it has been. I need to make myself. Ah! Sorry, I need to make myself smaller. Like, you up, and um, there we go. Hi everyone, how's it going? It is me, Roka, a alien from above the stars. I'm a cafe owner and also radio DJ. And I just had my Live 2D debut this week. It was on Tuesday. I'm still kind of getting used to the idea of just kind of. I mean, the adjustment to being able to stream on a live 2D model is pretty easy, or at least it's something where I'm kind of like. I've gotten the hang of it, or at least being able to like do the lip flaps and such. Like, it all kind of makes sense. It all kind of adds up. But I guess it's just the idea that like I was making clips earlier this afternoon and I just felt like so much guilt because I feel like it was that thing where like I just kept on pointing out like all of the mistakes I was making where I was like, you could have done this, you could have done that, you shouldn't have said this, you should have said that this way. And I feel like there's so many instances where I just kept picking apart so much of my material. And I got in like some like almost kind of like downward semi slumpish. Like I need to be kinder to myself. I think that's the main goal. I think as I start to get further into VTubing, it's be fair to myself or be kind to myself because I wind up being my worst critic quite a lot. And in the process, I end up letting myself down because I'm also probably my most fiercest defender. I get really defensive when like I need to defend myself, but then when I look at myself, I'm like, oh, could have done so much more. But I feel like life isn't without regrets, and it won't be the first time I have regrets. Certainly not the last. But I am very excited. I am very, very, very excited to be able to give this one a little more of a spin. It'll be really exciting to get on started. So I am going to get the Great Ace Attorney going. Get this music. Oh, let's get the on over. There. All right. Let me get myself set up. Shit up. There we go. Let's see. Let us get to load. Where was it? It was the 26th. It was Trial 1, Part 1. Yeah, in case you're not familiar, let me pull up this window. Wrong one. So it is going to be the trial of this dude again. He is now incriminated for another thing. And it was something where he had been poisoned. And he's accusing him of poisoning him. So we are going to be figuring out who poisoned who in the process of all of this. It is messy, but it is an undertaking that we need to do. Up. Alright. Let's get going. I just need to get my drink on. The Old Bailey. This place always makes me feel strange. It seems to get chills down my spine and break out in a nervous sweat every time. Well, I didn't think I'd be back here so soon. That's my line! Good morning! Ah, good morning, Mr. Natsume. It was only 2 days ago that I was declared not guilty here. Yes, we somehow managed to prove that he didn't stab Miss Green in the back. But now this? Another morning, another murder, and here I am again in this hellhole. Can't keep coming to court. I'm beginning to think he's right. He really does seem as through. He really does seem as though he's cursed. My bad. Mr. Naruhodo, I'm afraid I have bad news. Oh? Mr. Natsume, good morning. Yes, morning. So, here we are again. Yes, here again. Judicial Assistant Miss Mikotoma Esquires, what's the bad news? Oh dear, you heard, didn't you? If you come in shouting on the top of your voice, people can't help hearing what you say. Oh, I'm sorry. You've done nothing wrong, Miss Usato. Now what is it? Well, it seems that the prosecution in today's trial will be led by Lord Baroque Van Zeeks. Van Zeeks? Oh no. Oh no. The so-called Reaper of the Bailey, the most legendary prosecutor in the land. In the trial 2 days ago, he pursued Soseki and I relentlessly. Of course, by the skin of our teeth, we managed to pull through. But still. Oh, hi, Yandere-san. I'm sorry about I'm sorry you missed it. Yeah, this Tuesday was, what's it called? Around the same time was the, model reveal. I also played some Pokemon, but, what's it called? This is me moving my what's it called? My model. Yeah, I have all this stuff going. Let me do like a mini kind of run through. Where I just have like all my emotes. I got blushy one. I got like a little mischievous one. I got, what's it called? Downside. I also have like eyes dilated pupil kind of stuff. And what's it called? Let me scroll up. Oh man, I forgot my shoes once again. Whatever do I do? Boom. Sorry. I'm not sure if that's something where it's like, oh yeah, like continuously just kind of like doing the shoe thing. I'm like, I didn't commission this for reasons. I mean, I did for reasons, but I need to be able to put more, what's it called? More dignified and kinder reasons on myself. And be like, oh no, it's because you want to have multiple options. Ew, put shoes on. See, that's what I was thinking, where I'm like, maybe, yeah, like, it would be bad if I was just constantly walking around barefoot. I would, like, step on, like, things like glass and splinters. That's not good. So you gotta put on shoes. You gotta keep your feet protected. So I got my, what's it called? My awesome, like, kind of sneakers on. I actually need to buy new sneakers in real life. I feel like all mine are really old. I think for the most part, I'm buying a lot of the, I think, what's it called? My parents have like some shoes that they don't want anymore. I'm probably going to pilfer. Actually, they offered it to me, but I forgot them the last time I visited. Perhaps Mr. Natsume's acquittal of the last trial wasn't the end of the matter after all. Yes, I know what you're thinking. The legend of the Reaper that says nothing can save a person in the dock when Lord Van Zeeks is the prosecutor. Oh no. That even if a person is found guilty, the accused will meet a mysterious end, one way or another. And we've experienced it firsthand. This is the Great Ace Attorney Adventures. This is what's it called? The prequel to Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney. And what's it called? I don't have a picture of Phoenix, of what's it called? Great Grandpa Phoenix. But like, she's my judicial assistant, and me and her went over to Britain with my boyfriend Kazuma, but he had like a mysterious kind of like death, not quite so much, because what's it called? At the end of the first game, it was revealed he's actually alive, but we don't know how. But what's it called? We've been helped out by Sherlock Holmes, or Perlock, as he's named in the game, and his assistant Iris Wilson. Now, in this trial, Soseki Natsume, the legendary British author, he was previously like accused of like flying a knife or like throwing a knife and hitting this person, but it was just like a weird domestic spat that happened while he was around. But he was accused of poisoning this guy, William Shakespeare, who was like I guess a roomie of his. But like when he woke up, he was like, no, this guy definitely did it. So now I have to defend him in court once again. This guy is what's it called? The detective that I have to constantly like fight against. And this is supposed to be the what's it called? All the chins are wild in this game. And this is what's it called? Our what's his name in the Edgeworth. He's like the Edgeworth of this game. So he's like this like British like prosecutor who's pretty much very racist towards me because I'm Japanese in this universe. But yeah, he has a very deep prejudice towards Japanese people, so I definitely had to defend Soseki. I'm sorry. Apparently he gets better, but I'm not sure how he gets better. he's kind of A man we successfully defended met the most terrifying end after his acquittal, right here in the Old Bailey. Well, that was actually a special case, because that was a dude that like actually legitimately murdered somebody. But I accidentally defended him in court because I didn't know he actually did the murder. And then what's it called? The guy that was like the son of the guy that was murdered ended up murdering the dude in the court. It was very theatric. God, do I have to put up with those ice cold eyes boring into my soul again? Cursed by evil spirits and now by the Reaper. Fear of petrifying perils, potentially.
Well, if it's potentially, at least you appear to have hope, Mr. Natsume.
Locum student Mr. Naruhodo Esquire.
Ah, yes?
I'm innocent. You have to believe me. You more than anyone now. Don't worry. I'll be your steadfast ally every step of the way in this battle. I promise. And this promises to be a hard battle, I fear. Yeah.
Well, the trial is scheduled to begin shortly. We should move into the courtroom.
Let's go.
Oh, yes. I forgot to say. I'm afraid he won't be able to make it, Mr. Sholmes, I mean.
And that's probably for the best.
Ah?
If he were here, I might be tempted to rely on his help. And that could be seen as a weakness. If Lord Van Zeeks were to notice, he'd prey on it mercilessly. At least, that's my gut feeling.
Mr. Naruhodo.
Thank you so much, Yandere-san. Thank you so much. You're right. Yes, you're so right. Oh, well said, locum student Naruhodo Esquire. Well said. I swear on my sword at my side, and on the spirit of Kazuma that it harbors. I'll show him what a Japanese lawyer can do. I'll set you free, with honor.
Oh, yes.
Yay. But yeah, you're really lucky. This is like the beginning of the trial, so there isn't too much to like, too much that you're like missing out on like entirely. see. I gotta get an extra spot of tea, because what's it called? I gotta put on my Dumbledore from Sorcerer's Stone voice for the judge. Still lost. I'm sorry. I'll try to catch you up through it as I go along.
In the name of Her Majesty the Queen, I hereby declare this court to be in session. I now call upon the counsels for the prosecution and defense to declare their willingness to proceed.
The prosecution is ready.
The defense is ready, my lord. Readiness for the trial, my learned Japanese friend. Not what the defense needs. What you need is readiness for your inevitable defeat. It's not my imagination. It's really there. Lord Van Zeeks has such an animosity towards us Japanese for some reason. It was some time ago now that he became known as the Reaper of the Bailey, I believe. These past few years, he hasn't appeared in court at all. Yet now he's back in the courtroom, though for some reason, only when I'm defending. This Reaper, with his curious disdain for us Japanese, is a prosecutor shrouded in mystery.
Oh man, they're actually summing up everything pretty well. I was like, maybe I don't have to. Maybe there's a lot that it's really catching me up to speed on.
Still, this isn't the first time to be pondering that. I have to concentrate on Soseki-san's trial.
Furthermore, I now call upon the 6 ladies and gentlemen of the jury. You have been chosen at random to represent the will of the people in this trial. Are you ready to fulfill your duty?
Yeah, he's definitely suspicious. He's definitely someone who's really trying his damnedest to get a guilty verdict, even when he knows it's innocent. And Van Zeeks and his Van Freak, as he Van Freaks.
Absolutely. I have a feeling this Larkin was an innocent before.
I must say, I feel especially ruthless on days when my hat refuses to sit tight.
Oh, well, I rather like how you're wearing your hat. I think the ruthlessness looks like it's very fetching, actually.
I need to be somewhere at 10 o'clock. I have a very important meeting. Let's make this quick.
I couldn't agree more. I need to take a Bob 5 bob tonight, or the missus will go through the roof. Oh, may the Lord show us the light here, and lead his flock to a righteous verdict.
The British jury system is so different from our own, isn't it? It's quite extraordinary to think the power of judgment is in the hands of 6 people of the public, and that the judge can only pass sentence when all the jurors are in agreement of the defendant's guilt.
Yeah. 6 citizens of London chosen at random, or at least that's the idea. And they all somehow are very quick to think that I'm guilty whenever, like, it's possible. The prosecution would draw attention to the fact that the accused was on trial here but 2 days ago. It's Santa at the end. It's grandpappy time. Father Christmas. Accordingly, where possible, the same jurors have been asked to return for duty today.
Very well. Let us commence the trial. Lord Van Zeeks, your opening statement, please.
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, it is not the intention of the prosecution to cast doubt a past decision. However, the innocent verdict afforded to this eccentric Japanese guy before has had dire consequences. Of course, his name is Van. Did the accused repent for his wrongdoing in that affair? Far from it.
Instead, he used his freedom to perpetuate a most blood-curdling crime. Namely, that of the attempted murder of his neighboring lodgeman, an innocent Englishman. To explain the circumstances of the crime, the prosecution calls for the first witnesses on the stand. Smash my head. Shake, no. The detective responsible for investigating the scene and accused himself. It's that thing where you have to read like the offensive dialogue and then just kind of shake your head and be like, no. No, I disagree with everything he's saying. I don't stand for any of it. Oh man, they're gonna have, what's his name? They're gonna have like him testify while he's chomping down on the on the fish and chips. Witnesses, your names and occupations, please. Yes, sir. Tobias Gregson, Detective Inspector at the Scotland Yard's Homicide Division. Aren't I the accused? Saseki Natsume of the Empire of Japan. My government ordered me to come here as a student to study your language and culture.
Mr. Natsume,
Yes, my lord, sir.
I'm quite sure if I'm not mistaken, that you swore an oath never to set foot in my courtroom again. I remember it as if it were yesterday.
The day before, in fact, my lord, but close enough. Believe me, this is the last place I want to be. God, is that you? Inspector, let's hear from you first. Explain the case for the court.
Right you are, sir. The incident occurred at the garden household where the defendant was lodging. In the court floor room of the victim, Mr. William Shamsbeer. The defendant was already admitting to visiting the victim on the night in question. Mr. Shamsbeer collapsed in this room as a result of poisoning by
strychnine. Strychnine. Man, first I'm doing a bad job at pronunciating naranja, and now I'm doing a bad at pronunciating strychnine. This has been a difficult week for me and language. Me and talking have had a rough relationship this week.
He was found in the following morning when the landlord suspecting...
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Suspecting something was wrong, broke down the door. This means, I presume, that the door of the victim's room was...
Oh, sorry, that was... No, I'm just being mean to the judge.
This means, I presume, that the door to the victim's room was locked at the time of the incident.
Correct, my lord.
Sorry. Correct, my lord. It was locked from the inside, making entry to and exit from the room possible. You can't figure and tell me that isn't Gryffindor.
Although the victim, Mr. Shamsbeer, lives to tell the tale, he very near didn't. The man was halfway to heaven when we first found him.
So, it appears that this case has already been solved then. 10 points to Gryffindor.
No, you're all good, Yantere-Jean. You're all good. Don't worry. You are all 100% perfect.
I was the first officer in the scene, my lord. And I have a photographic print here that I took at the time to show how it looked.
Man, he really...
Yes, a chilling scene indeed. The man looks very much deceased.
That's right, everyone present believed that. That's precisely what he was.
Very well. I shall accept this photographic print as evidence for the court. Now then, Mr. Natsume.
Yes.
As the defendant, do you have anything to say about this juncture?
They're haunted. Haunted by evil spirits.
Good gracious, what's haunted?
My lodgings. There's been a whole series of strange happenings in my lodgings. The tenant before me died in mysterious circumstances. The woman stabbed by no one in the street outside. My neighbor was poisoned. And me. What about me? I've nearly been killed countless of times.
Killed, Mr. Natsume? How?
Even on that fateful night it happened. When I returned from Mr. Shakespeare's room, I lit my gas stove and climbed into bed, but before long, the stove went out and someone tried to kill me.
You must always extinguish all fires before retiring to the night, Mr. Natsume.
When it's so cold, my runny nose would freeze. The point is, I didn't poison my neighbor. Oh, why am I being accused of this? Why is my existence so cursed?
Thank you, witness. I believe I have a reasonably clear picture of the events.
If I could raise one more point, my lord. One more conclusive point.
Conclusive? Go on.
Fortunately, the victim, Mr. Shakespeare, has regained consciousness after this whole ordeal, and he has named the true culprit. The poison consumed by the victim was administered in a cup of tea that he drank on the night in question. Tea, my lord, that was brought to the victim's room by the accused.
The accused? Good grief. Order.
Yes, that's the crux of this whole case. If Soseki-san is innocent, then why? Why is the victim accused him? Sag. L in the chat. There's gonna be 50 million of these per trial. There's going to be, like, every 5 minutes, everyone's just gonna think he's guilty. And then I have 1 point, and then everyone's like, oh wow, innocent. Oh! This is the... I didn't have the sound on this whole time. Oops. I'm so sorry. Oh my. Oh no. Oh no. Yeah, it's all good, don't worry. The good news is that, what's it called? There's only music in this game, so it's not one of those things where, like, I have, like, really bad, like, all of the dialogue is gone, or all of, like, the prompts are gone. Yeah, I need to actually, like, keep that going, because I feel like sometimes I mute the desktop audio for, like, music stuff, but lo and behold, sometimes I end up, like, having, like, a half hour where the music ain't there. My bad. Gomen is sorry.
Well, Mr. Natsume, what have you say about this accusation?
That evening, yes. I did take some freshly brewed tea with me when I visited Mr. Shakespeare's room. It's a gift. The public water pump outside always freezes at night, so I brought bottled water especially to make it. And this is the result. I'll never touch tea again. Never.
The public pump was frozen, you say? That's not information we heard before.
That will do, thank you. Now, according to our laws, the defense must have the opportunity to cross-examine witnesses at least once. Therefore, I call upon the witnesses now for a formal testimony. I presume the prosecution has no objection.
None whatsoever, my lord.
Good. Then you will give your account of the events of the night in question to the court now.
Yes, my lord. It was around 9 o'clock that evening when I visited my neighbor, and I took some tea with me as a gift. We had a heated debate over a nice hot drink, after which I went back to my room at around 11. My tea was completely harmless. He couldn't have locked the door behind me otherwise, couldn't he?
Strychnine takes some time to have an effect on the body. People don't keel over immediately after taking it. The victim would have been perfectly able to lock the door after his guest left. The argument still stands.
It's like, yeah, I feel like as soon as you have people that are like going like eccentric and being like, "Rah!" I feel like it completely just makes a lot of the arguments in Ace Attorney completely just muddied. It muddies the water so much, especially when people who are like outright guilty are just like, "Rah!" But then for some reason, like, the jury is still on their side because there's like one little piece of evidence that somehow sways them over. It's like, no, you're acting crazy. You're excited that this is happening. People who are innocent are excited about this happening. Normal people don't feel this way.
Yes, I see. It all seems relatively straightforward.
Excuse me, but that testimony does raise one rather crucial point, I think. Mr. Natsume claims his tea to have been harmless. Presumably, though. The teacups have been examined for traces of poison, haven't they?
Why didn't I think of that?
Well, as it happens, no. We haven't been able to.
Did I hear you correctly, Inspector? Scotland Yard has failed to examine the suspected substance?
How could you have possibly overlooked something so important? Isn't that the first thing you should have done?
My learned Japanese friend is falsely incensed. The inspector said Scotland Yard was unable to examine the tea, not that it was overlooked.
Unable? Why?
It's simple enough. There's none left. Not a drop. Someone must have been very thirsty indeed.
With the current scientific techniques, it's not possible to test for poison under certain circumstances.
We only need a drop, but that one drop does actually have to exist, funny enough.
The lack of examination notwithstanding, it appears nothing other than the tea has passed the victim's lips on the night in question.
I see, thank you. The matter is clear.
Cast your eyes over the jury, my learned friend. What? You see it in their faces, I'm sure. The recognition of the accused's guilt. Your client's fate is all but sealed. In mere moments from now, you will lose, and your compatriot will be damned for all eternity.
He's right. I can feel all 6 of them looking daggers at me. But I can't let them beat me down. I won't.
Counsel for the defense, proceed with your cross-examination.
Yes, my lord. I guess I'll probably start grilling people. Took some tea as a gift. Let's see.
Hold it!
Were you and your neighbors good friends then? No! We weren't friends! Not at all! Not at all! Never, never. A simple no would have been sufficed. Then, why did you decide to pay him a visit?
Mr. Shakespeare fancies himself as having great literary knowledge. As a fellow scholar of the English language, we find much to talk about together.
Come now. No Japanese person could understand the fine points of English literature.
And on the night in question, was the topic of the conversation as well, I presumed?
It was the day of my last trial when I was acquitted.
Make sure to stretch for my prince.
Okay, I'll stretch a bit.
Gotta keep stretched, and I also gotta keep hydrated.
It was the day of my last trial when I was acquitted. I had just arrived back to my lodgings when I ran into Mr. Shakespeare outside the street. That was about 6 o'clock. We exchanged one or two pleasantries, but it soon turned into a heated discussion. He was on his way out at the time, though, so I promised to visit his room on the evening at 9 to continue our debate. But did I have ill intentions? No! Not one, not two, not any. Not at all. Never, ever.
A simple no would have sufficed, I feel.
Then tell the court what happened when you visited the victim's room.
Let's see.
Hold it!
A literary debate about Shakespeare's works?
Shakespeare. Ah, a very worthy topic of conversation, I must say.
Oh yes, my lord. Romeo and Juliet, who was stronger? It was a profoundly pleasurable parlay.
Romeo and Juliet?
Who was stronger? Man, they were having like power level debates. Man. Damn. It's like the nerdiest shit. But can Shiki defeat them? I think Shiki would have a better job at beating the both of them.
Well, we both agreed that we would reach a conclusion more quickly with the reenactment, so we battled it out. In Greco-Roman style, naturally.
What?
Mr. Shakespeare had all sorts of costumes in his room for such a contest.
So, when you say reenactment, you mean you were actually in costume?
He as Romeo, I as Juliet, and after a vigorous wild tussle, I as Juliet came out on top. A victory I shall cherish forever.
I dare not imagine the terrible scene of carnage.
The fact remains that it was you who prepared the tea and took it to the victim, correct?
I boiled the water in my room and made a pot to take with me. I heard that he was too poor to have tea himself, you see.
It's true. There were no signs of any tea leaves in the man's room.
I wanted to do something nice, to be friendly. So why is everyone looking at me with such suspicion? Our tea was harmless. Of course it was.
Do you have any basis for that statement, witness?
My tea was completely harmless. Still sus. It's like we have to see if my defendant is really innocent or not.
Hold it!
He's kind of like damning himself by acting like he's having such like a heated debate over like, what's it called? Exactly how much he liked Shakespeare. It also doesn't help with the whole Romeo and Juliet thing, how like Romeo like was poisoned. So now there's complete parallel with the two of them. How long does it take for the symptoms to appear then?
Around the corner, I was speaking with the DR about 30 minutes after the poison consumed. Then the victim suffers violent convulsions, cramping, and stiffness, and eventually dies from asphyxiation.
So there's a 30-minute interval between when the poison is ingested and the onset of symptoms. There seems to be a lot of different types of poison in the world, that's for sure. Oh dear, death by poisoning again. It's always so awful.
30 minutes is a long time. Certainly long enough for the victim to have locked the door behind the accused after he left.
You can't deny that. And it further degrades Soseki-san's alibi.
I have the medical report from the doctor who examined the victim here, my lord. It spells it out, really. The accused is the only person who could have done it.
Very well, the court will now add this to the record as well.
It has been entered into the court record. Oh yes, I see it here. Delayed onset of symptoms. Great. Let's see. So we're going to look at that, what's it called, that medical record. Alright. The victim, William Shamsbeer, 31. Oh man, he's young. Ingestion of a small quantity of poison. Toxic effects present after 30 minutes. High likelihood had been mixed in the tea while he was drinking, but no sample obtained. Poisoning incident was around 1:30 a.m. Assessed from the victim's pocket watch, which was broken when he left. No container was found at the scene. Well, I'm still kind of sick now, so I'm gonna get some sleep. Have some great sleep. Oh, thank you so much, Yandere-chan. Have a good time. What's it called? Make sure that you rest up well. Let's see, this was 2. Let's see, now that I have this evidence, I guess I would present, which was around 11. So like, what's it called? If this was happening around 1, it would have to be the case. Mr. Natsume, you say it was 11 p.m. when you left to return to your room, correct?
Yes.
And Inspector Gregson, can we rely on the information in the medical report unconditionally?
Of course we can. There's no problem with that report, Sunshine.
Actually, I think there's a very big problem. Because there's a chronological inconsistency between it and the defendant's testimony.
What? What are you talking about?
According to this report, the victim must have consumed the poison at around 1:30 in the morning. And yet, the defendant, Mr. Natsume, left the victim's room at 11. Yes, that's right. There's more than 2 hours of missing time there. In other words, if there was poison in the tea that Mr. Natsume brought to the victim's room, how could the victim have fallen ill to it 2.5 full hours after the defendant left?
The defense's argument is entirely reasonable. How do you respond, Lord Van Zeeks?
I got my drink ready. I got my little sippy cup ready.
Pray forgive the discourtesy if my mind is wandering. I was considering what cuisine would best complement the contents of my hallowed chalice this luncheon. How could it have happened, you ask? I do hate to shatter illusions, but my Japanese friend appears to be chasing a phantom idea.
A phantom?
Is it so hard to imagine that the victim drank his tea after the accused had left? For example, at the time stated in the medical report. Yes, at around 1:30.
Objection!
Mr. Natsume brought the tea with him to drink together with his neighbor. And in Japan, there's a well-known saying, drink tea while it's hot.
Objection!
In my country, you drink it cold. In my country, there's even more apt saying, drink the tea cold. There's nothing more refreshing than cold tea. But the point is, if there was such a long gap, there may have been other ways to explain how the victim came to be poisoned. Other possibilities.
What sort of possibilities, Counsel?
Well, for example, the man could have had another visitor. Another visitor.
That's a very bold assertion, my lord. From someone who has nothing to substantiate it.
Or the victim could have taken the poison of his own volition.
You suggest that this may have been a suicide, Counsel?
Objection!
Mr. Shakespeare has categorically denied suicide. The idea canon must be discounted.
Objection!
But he could be lying.
Is something wrong, Lord Van Zeeks?
I was listening to the sound of the carriage pulling up outside the courtroom. Pray forgive the discourtesy.
Carriage? What carriage?
It would seem that the key player in this case has just arrived.
Man, it's wild that you can hear the carriage from out, like, in the middle of this room.
Out, out, brief candle. Life's but a walking shadow.
A poor player that struts and frets this hour upon the stage, and then is heard no more. It is a tale told by an idiot, full of sound and fury, signifying nothing.
Who, sir, are you?
William Shakespeare, my lord. Alas, 'twas I undone by these bitter events. I am the victim. What? What's he doing here?
The prosecution seeks to call this gentleman to the stand. With his testimony, I learn his friend futile resistance will be utterly crushed.
You're calling him as a witness?
Very well, Counsel. I grant your request with interest. I'm curious to discover what the court shall hear from the victim himself.
Happy am I, Shakespeare, to regale thee in the tale of my woe, my lord. Oh, but I still have my own tale to tell. My own tale of worse woe. I can regale the court with the tale of my perfect innocence and perfect English.
That will do, Mr. Natsume. Let the court now hear from the victim.
Alright. So, that's Mr. Shakespeare. But who's that other man beside him? Yes. I feel sure that we've caught a glimpse of that man before.
State your name, occupations. Sis.
A writer of words so sweet, they do scent the breeze. An innovator of ideas so profound, they compose the earth. The unrivaled poet, the unmatched scribe, William Shakespeare. Were the great bard to be recalled to life anew, ew, what a magnificent man! Good fellows, I am he who ponders such a miracle, William Shakespeare.
Oi, my name's Metterman, Adrian B. Metterman. I work for the Altamont Gas Company, East End Branch Office.
Ah, I remember now. It was yesterday on Briar Road. Oh yes, he's right. It is him. Oh, what's this?
Oi.
I think I might head out in like a half hour. Maybe a little earlier. I think maybe in like 5 minutes I might head out of. Yes, we spotted him outside Mr. Garadev's house that morning. And he's a gas company employee. What does he have to do with the case?
So, Mr. William Shakespeare, you are the victim in this miserable affair, correct?
Oh heaven, oh hell, do you command me to remember that sweet poison that did cross me and crossed mine innocent lips?
I subpoenaed him for trial, with his doctor's permission, naturally. Hearing the testimony, he agreed to remove any room of doubt in the juror's mind, I'm assured.
Behold, you have arranged the letters of my name to see that me's a seraph, an angel indeed. Thus be I noble of mind, sweet of nature, and veritably honest of heart, as all heavenly angels be.
Because there isn't less contrived meaning in your name.
No, not at all. The jurors seem to be moved by this man, I'm afraid. They're actually taking his seraph anagram idea seriously.
Thank you, witnesses, for your illuminating introductions.
But my lord, what's the man next to Mr. Shakespeare doing here? Gasman, I mean.
What, me? Well, now.
Allow me to enlighten you, friend. You recall, I presume, your earlier impertinence? When you suggested the victim had another visitor in his room on the night in question, and moreover that the victim is a compulsive liar.
What? Oh, no, I didn't quite say that.
This young chin-stroker is here to controvert your wild claims conclusively. Is that not so, Mr. Meterman?
Hang on. No, I'm just here. I hereby call your former testimonies. You'll tell the court as loosely as possible what happened the night in question.
One may smile, and be a villain. Yes, it doth pain me, but let the truth be spoken, the truth of that wintry night of my discontent. Yeah. I've gotten a lot more tired at the moment, so I think I might call it quits for the night. So sleepy. It's been a long day. And I'd like to thank everyone for being able to come along. I
was it called? I hope that everything was perfectly alright for today's stream. Y'all for coming along. Now, as a customary thank you, I will be poking my mic. I'll be poking my beauty mark, poking the microphone, and sending out all kinds of good vibes. I don't have quite anybody to follow at the moment, or quite have anybody to rate at the moment, so this is a farewell. I will be back this Sunday with some Fire Emblem. So until next time, see ya. Bye.